Good evening, all the participants. I am Deepa Khatri, Deputy Director at ICSI. Please accept our warm welcome to all the viewers at this last webinar of this webinar series on launch of LLP modules in MCA21-V3, which is organized by ICSI in association with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So like the previous two webinars, this webinar would also be addressed by senior officers of MCA team and LTI team who is actively involved in successful implementation of the LLP project and also involved in transition of MCA V2 to V3 project. We welcome the entire team of MCA and LTI at this webinar. Sir. I also welcome Shri Ashish Gargji, who is past President ICSI and Chairman of Peer Review Committee as well as International Affairs Committee of ICSI. So now to start the webinar, I would like to invite Shri Ashish Gargji for his address.
Thank you so much, Deepa. On behalf of ICSI, I truly warmly welcome all the officers of Ministry of Corporate Affairs and officers of L&D team. Friends, this is the third webinar of this webinar series of LLP modules in MCA21-V3 version 3. As you all are aware, that MCA is launching a new way of e-filing for LLP on MCA21 portal. The said application is proposed to be launched on 5th March 2022 midnight. All LLP filings going forward will be web-based. This move would surely promote ease of doing business and embrace digital transformation. Data analytics-driven MCA21-V3 will give new meaning to corporate compliance culture. Friends, I must compliment our president of the institute, Shri Devin Deshpandeji, who has taken this initiative under the guidance of Secretary MCA Shri Rajesh Verma and Joint Secretary Shri Manoj Pandeji. And friends, believe me, this is the initiative jointly with MCA and L&D team. All your problems, all your queries will be resolved. Our team, along with this team, are working day in and day out. We are regularly doing some testing of the forms and giving the real-time feedback for the improvement of the system to the L&D and the ministry. And this is the initiative, this is the joint efforts, this is the collective efforts, and we are very grateful to the ministry that always in such type of initiatives, they are taking ICSI together and our members along with. From this new system, we have already done 2 webinars. This is the last webinar in this series. And believe me, if you will find more problems, definitely we'll have more webinars along with MC and L&T team to resolve your queries on regular basis. In first of the 2 webinars, we have tested about and we have discussed about the highlights of new system of LLP filings and demo of how to create login in new system and how to fill this RUD form. In the second webinar on 28th Feb, we have discussed about LLP modules, demo of other LLP forms like Form 22 and the other forms and signatures, how to affix signatures. Today, our team will give demo on other LLP forms. We have an excellent team. We have from the ministry side, Shri Vivek Meenaji, Deputy Director, and Aisha Krishnaji, Assistant Director. I also acknowledge the efforts of Shri Sanjay Jain, Director, and Shri B. Shri Kumarji, Joint Director. Friends, believe me, whenever we are having any issues, we are directly discussing with Shri Kumarji, who is heading this system e-filing, and on a real-time basis, they are resolving the queries of the members or any of the technical issues. And I also welcome the L&T team. We have with us today Rohit Bhattji, Program Manager, Sakshi, Vijaya, and Raina. Vijaya ji is also regularly interacting. She is also a chartered accountant and company secretary and regularly resolving the issues of the faced by the members. I also acknowledge Chandra ji, who always interacting with me on the real-time issues faced by the members. So friends, I have specifically mentioned these names because these are the people who are working day in and day out behind the scenes. They are not in front of you, but for your ease, you will be able to file the forms easily. That's why they are creating all this system. And in this system, we know that there are some issues which will come on regular basis and regularly will face some issues. But always the team of MC and L&T will be there to resolve resolve such issues. With the discussion of the president, we are also creating one Google based form. So on the real time basis, if any member will face such issues, we'll discuss with the L&T team and the MCA team and try to resolve on real time basis. So thank you so much, all the faculties, all the panelists, all the speakers from MCA and L&T who will give insight on this LLP filing. And always on behalf of them, I assure you that ICSI will provide all the support to the MCA as well as L&T and to all our stakeholders, whether they are company secretaries or other professionals or our corporates who will face any issue. We will always be there with you to resolve all such issues. Thank you so much. Over to you, Deepa, to invite our faculties and further discussion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable words. I would now invite MCA team, Shri Vivek ji, to give his address.
Thank you, Deepa ji, Ashish ji, ICSI, and other members who are watching the webinar. This is the third webinar on the series regarding the launch of MCA21 version 3 LLP module. So this version 3 has been conceptualized based on the learnings that we have received in the version 2 and the version 1 of MCA21 portal. So MCA21 was launched in 2006, as most of you will know, with TCS as a service provider. It was made operational based on the boot model, wherein we will be guiding them as to how the development is take place, and they will handle the technology aspect. So based on the learning of version 1 that was handled by TCS, the version 2 with Infosys was launched in 2016. Just give me a minute. Sorry. So as I was saying, after the version 1 with TCS, Infosys was handed over the task of developing version 2. So in version 1, the idea was that we were moving from a paper-based system to a paperless system. So all the processes which were earlier physical, they were made digital. In version 2, we had already completed the bulk of the transition to a digital mode. So we wanted to make it more efficient to do the filing. We wanted to incorporate certain processes that will make it easier for the stakeholders to do the filing, and at the same time to let the regulators also to do their compliance check. So we made a number of changes in version 2. Some changes like straight through processing of the forms were initiated. We did linking with a lot of other regulators like CBDT. We made interlinkages with institutes also to get professional details. Later on, we did a cleaning of registry to get a cleaner database with MCA. Now, all this development of the past around 15 odd years led to the conceptualization of MCA21 version 3. And the process started in 2018, and with our discussions with all the external stakeholders, including the Institute, ICSI Institute, ICAI, ICWAI, other fellow industry bodies as well. And we interacted and we tried to understand the pain point and where they want to have an improvement, what future changes they wanted in MCA21 version 3. And this interaction and this discussion was continued right through the development of the RFP to the implementation of the MCA21 version 3. So as you already know, the MCA21 version 3 is planned to be rolled out in a phased manner. The first phase of MCA21 version 3 was launched in May last year with the launch of a revamped website, an e-consultation module, and a new ebook module. An internal email system was also launched for the officers of MCA. After the launch of these modules, later on we also launched a learning management module that was basically for the internal MCA users. It was a learning management tool to keep them updated with the changes that is happening in the corporate sector. A lot of background work is also ongoing, which is not related to launch of modules. However, the data migration and other aspect, they are continuously being done in the backend. So now we are at the stage of launching the, one of the most important aspect of the front user, that is the LLP module. This we are launching on, on 0 hours of 6th of March. So on the 5th March at 11:59, this LLP module will be launched for the external stakeholder. We have been doing a round of testing with all the institutes. So ICSI has been kind enough to have their members do the testing for us, and they have been very active in giving us the some solutions, some suggestions, and some bugs notifications as well. That has helped us understand and make it a much better system to be launched to the public. Now, in this LLP module, we are and including the company module that is scheduled to be launched in next few months, we have made a number of changes that will help the external stakeholders as well. So when we talk about filing, currently the system is that the PDF file has to be submitted by the stakeholder. Now that system of filing will be moved to the web-based filing. Some of the users might already know that few forms of MCA21 is already web-based, like Director KYC form, and the Spice Plus form is already a web-based form. So, taking the learnings from these processes, we have now moved towards making all the forms that will be, implemented in version 3. All these forms will be web-based form. So the web-based form, they provide us certain advantages in terms of submission of the information. So there will be real-time validation. As soon as the stakeholder has submitted some information, the system will be able to do the validation immediately. So if there is an error, the user will not have to wait for the, the pre-scrutiny check to be done and later facing that error. So a lot of tickets used to be, signed with the help desk team regarding these issues with the uploading of PDF forms and the validation issues. So that is being taken care of with the help of launch of a web-based form. What it also does is, if you, let's say you fill part of the web form and you want to, submit the second half at a later point of time, you can save the web form and you can come back later and do the filing just from there onwards. Along with that, the autofill mechanism, the auto prefill mechanism I've already said will also be improved. We have made some linking of the forms as well. Attachment size, which was one of the pain point in version 2, that has also been improved. So, currently the attachment is moving from 2 MB to a total of 10 MB, including the forms and DSC. Other than that, if I talk about, specifically on the forms aspect, so in the fill-it form, we are moving towards, having a parity with the Spice Plus form. So now, we are integrating with CVDT to provide PAN and TAN right from the incorporation process itself, just as we are doing for the companies. We have increased the number of, DPINs that can be allotted from 2 to 5 in version 3. We are also allowing more than 200 partners to be there in the LLP during the incorporation. The NIC code for the newly incorporated LLP will be moving from NIC 2004 to 2008, which is the latest NIC code. Now, other than that, we have also removed OTP verification. As far as possible, we have tried to remove the attachment wherever we found that it was not necessary, or we could include that in the form itself. We've tried to remove those attachments as well. Other changes are, consequential of the changes in the Act. So as you already know, some of the acts, some of the Companies Act sections have been enabled for LLP. So consequent to that, there will be changes in the new module coming out of the changes in the Act. We are also, planning to have AI ML technology in the MCA21 version 3. So, compliance management module will be running a data analytics and AI ML checks on the corporate filings, and it will be able to, flag out all the non-compliances. So, as I had already mentioned, a lot of data cleaning has also already taken place in version 2 of MCA21. And so now we have a reasonable level of comfort with the data at MCA21. So with that data and along with the data from other regulators that we are getting from time to time, we will be able to do the analytics, and we will be able to identify certain non-compliances, and the system will be capable enough to flag it on its own. The internal users will not have to do a lot of manual exercise in order to do the compliances, improve the compliances from the external stakeholder. So the broadly speaking, we are leveraging the technology to improve the ease of doing business in the country, by removing or minimizing the compliances required from the stakeholder. And at the same time, the technology will also help us in ensuring the corporate governance from the Indian corporates as well. So the system will be able to analyze, and it will be able to flag non-compliances as well as early warning signals it will be able to generate. And through that, we hope that the twin objective of the corporate governance and the ease of doing business will be facilitated. Now, also in terms of the form, we've what we have done is we have done some linking and merging of the form as well. So Form 3, Form 4, and Form 5 of the LLP, they are, we made it a linked form, so they can be filed either as a linked form or as a standalone form. Similarly, Form 28 and Form 29 are merged as one form. So Form 28 only the user will now have to fill. The Philip has already merged Form 9, Form 17, and Form 18. And we have also integrated with the Trademark Authority for name check facility in the run form. Now we've also, done some AI/ML. We have also included some AI/ML technologies to. So, for example, if a user is trying to reserve a name for them, the system will be able to flag, and give them, certain observations whether a similar name of that nature exists. So it will be able to do the fuzzy logic in a much more better way compared to what is there already in the V2 system. So, the stakeholder has an option to do the correction then and there itself, rather than submitting and waiting for the, rejection or some resubmission remarks. So these are the broad changes that we are planning to launch with the LLP module going on the 5th of March night. Now I'll let the LTI team to go through the presentation and give you the demo of one of the forms, so that the stakeholders can see in real time how the MCA 21 version 3 LLP module will look like. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek sir. I think, seen broadly, you have covered the changes that we have, but the presentation, we just want to change a little bit, because we'll start straight away to the presentation today. With the demo of the form today, because we already run through the presentation, the earlier sessions. As we said, we'll keep on changing the content in this in these sessions, so it's better, probably we'll just get started with the demo, but quickly wanted to make sure that what is going live on 5th. One is the company, the LLP forms, the LLP module. There are 20 odd forms. We also have login credentials. So login, the changes that you will see in the login, I think we'll also show you what changes you will find on the login page once on the 6th early morning. Once you log in, that we can showcase that change. But as of now, there are three things that I just wanted to mention here. So as soon as you log in on 6th morning, if you are registered on the MCA portal, you will be routed to the profile page once you log in. So there will be two separate logins on the login page. One is the LLP login and one is the company login. So on the LLP login, even your existing login ID credentials will work. As soon as you log in on that, it will take you to the profile page and you have to update your details. Once those details are updated, you can initiate your form filing or look into the changes that is coming up. That is one. Second is, if you are a director or log in through a DSC, your passwords will change and that will be communicated a day before they go live. The passwords will be as simple as the other secured logins are, that will be communicated across to all the users. And the third, but not the least, we have company login on separately still on the V2 on the website, wherein you can click on that and it will take you to the earlier page. For that also you can use the existing login details. There is no change in that as well. So these are the three things I just wanted to make sure that this is getting communicated. Second, there are some changes from the FO services as well. If you are associating a DSC currently on the MCA portal, you are not supposed to log in onto the systems. However, on 6th morning, once you go and try to associate your DSC, you have to mandatory first log in on the MCA portal, then only you will be able to log in. So that are some of the key factors or key changes that I just wanted to mention. I'll just hand it over to my colleague Vijaya along with Raina. These are Vijaya is the domain expert from LTI side, along with Raina, who is an technical person from my side, who will do a demo of the form with you all. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Rohit. Good evening, all. This is Vijaya. So as Rohit mentioned, so we have made some changes with respect to the user registration module, and you may have a lot of questions in V2 system. I am logging it with the user ID, and what actually, how do I log in once we go live with the LLP on 6th March? So basically what we'll do is we'll showcase, we'll take one live scenario of a migrated registered user, and we will try to show you what are all the changes, what are all the things that they need to do before go ahead and make do any filings in the V3 system, or what is the need for upgrading. Suppose let's say I have a registered user role in the V2 system, what is the need to upgrade to my role to a business user role, and what kind of forms are allowed to be filed by each of such users. So we'll try to showcase that, and then followed by Philip form filing. So Reina, can you please share your screen?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Please let me know once my screen is visible.
Yeah, Reina, it is visible. So as you also, Reina, so just 1 second. So as we all know, I think we have already showcased this screen. So you will be having from 6th March onwards, you'll be having two login pages here. One is to login for LLP filing, and down you can see a login for company filings. So when you log in with company, when you click on a login button which is there for company filing and services, no? So it will take you to the V2 portal, and you can use the existing user ID and password. So the way you are using it currently, so there is no change here. Now when it comes to V3 system, so now can you please go back, Reina? So now here you can see enter user ID. You can see here SIN LLP and FCRN for company LLP and company or LLP, and email ID. So now you may get a doubt. So currently all my logins are happening based on my user ID. So now here I do not have any field called user ID as such. Either I have SIN LLP and FCRN or email ID. Now in V2 system, most of the users are registered users only. How am I going to use the system in V3 going forward? So before we take one migrated user, so we will just try to explain you the one of the biggest change that we have made in V3 system. So going forward in V3, most of the LLP form filings, except run and fill up form, all these filings have to be done by the business users only. So registered users will not be able to upload these forms in V3 system. So except run and fill up form or some other form where there is no LLP, where any outsider can sign a form. Say, for example, form 22 can be filed by others. Only in those cases, you will be able to file the form by using your registered user login ID. So it means all other forms, say, for example, form 5, or if you take form 22 or form 3, all these forms have to be filed by a business users only. So now what we need to do. Suppose let's say I only have my registered user ID in V2 system, wherein I can go and file any form, be it as a company form or LLP form. How am I going to do that in V3 system? Is there any possibility to upgrade myself to a business user? And what is we have also introduced a concept of company user or LLP user. What does it mean? Even though the same company user concept is there in V2 system, but that is not actually capturing the SIN number in the existing service. So we have made a complete enhancement of this company and LLP user, and we will try to explain you how this company user and LLP user role will help the stakeholders to in uploading the form. So now we'll try to, what we will do is we have taken one migrated registered user. So we'll try to log in with username. So because the way we log in current system. So right now, can you please log in with one of the migrated user?
So just Vijaya, keep it. Yeah. So ma'am, if you see the last image on this and this image, last time there was a building here. Now this has been changed. This was one of the feedback from one of the users that the picture here is little bit not attractive. So we have changed this picture for now. So we had made sure that ease of doing business, which is the mantra for us, we had made sure we are making a big picture of ease of doing business, and rest of there's the components to it. So you will see that a lot many things are changing, and we're making sure that we're taking all the feedbacks as much as we can and taking it forward. Carry on, Vijaya.
Yeah, so here you can see in V3 system going forward, you have to log in with the email ID. So now let us take an example. I have one V2 registered user wherein I'll be having my user ID and email ID. So since it is a requirement for me to log in with the email ID in V3 system, we have entered the email ID which is linked with my user ID, and we are trying to log in now for the first time. So you can see here, the moment you enter your email ID, it is throwing an error, because before logging in with your email ID, you have to first go and update your profile page. For that, you have to, so it means the moment we go live on 6th March, you have to, for the first time, you have to log in with your existing user ID only. Now, what we will do is we will take the same user ID which is linked to this email ID, and we'll try to log in with V3 system. So now you can see here. So once you log in here, system will take you to the profile page automatically. So just a second, I think there's some connectivity issues. So you can see here, this is the page where the registered user will land on. So basically here you can see, you will get to see what is my user category and what are all my details which are migrated from V2 system. So you will not lose any data. You entire registered user, all set of registered users or the other user types will get migrated to V3 system. And now you can see for this user, role category is registered user and role is individual, and all the details including email ID and mobile number, everything whatever is there in V2 system got populated here. So now what we have to do is, if you want to update any of these details, there is an edit option available. So let's say your mobile number is not appearing. So you can update the mobile number. And if you want to update the address, you can also update the address. So once you update all these details, you can click on Save button. So once you update all these address details,
you will get a success message. So we'll show you that success message, wherein it says that going forward, you have to log in with your email ID instead of user ID. So, and from there on, you have to always log in with your email ID in V3 system. So this is the first change that all of the registered users have to do mandatorily in V3 system.
So it is easier to remember also.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is easier to remember. And moreover, there is no need to remember both user ID and email ID. So which email ID I have used and all.
Yeah.
So this is about the how to upgrade your profile on V3 system, ma'am. So can you please, Reina, can we look into the other steps?
Yes.
So now, ma'am, so what we will do now is we are talking about different business users, right? So one of the business user is company user or LLP user. We will just show you the screens, how to create a LLP user and company user and what is the need to create that. So as I mentioned, in V3 going forward, registered users will be able to file only few set of forms. It means most of the forms will have to be filed by business users. When we say business user, we have a category called director or designated partner or authorized representative, which is there in the current system of V2. And also we have a user role called professional user. We also have a user role called manager, secretary, authorized representative. So these are all the roles that we have it already in the V2 system. But only the difference between V2 and V3 is basically when in terms of business users, if you want to create any business user in V2 system, DSC, you have to give your DSC, which is a prerequisite. It means it is a mandatory field for getting registered yourself as a business user in V2 system. But in V3 system, so DSC, providing DSC is made as optional. It is not required to. So it means, suppose if you want to upgrade yourself to a business user or you want to create a business user ID in V3 system, there is no need to have your DSC. For getting registered on portal. So this is one of the changes that we have made in V3 system. So now let us talk about the one of the important user role that we have added is company or LLP user. So here what actually happens is whenever I want to get registered as a LLP or company user, so I will go to, so we'll just show you the screens.
So what is the difference when I enter through professional user or say company user? What is the difference?
Yeah. So ma'am, that also we will try to showcase. So basically we have mostly, so now let us take an example of a professional, ma'am. Suppose if I am a professional, practicing professional, and I have a staff of say 3 or 4 members, for example. So now I'm handling, for example, let's take an example of 10 LLPs I'm handling. So if you take up the V2 scenarios, so any of the staff members who is having his or her registered email user ID can upload any forms of LLP in V2 system. So now what we are trying to say is in V3, so they will not be able to upload any of these forms except run and fill it. So now what is the next step is, now professional user can upload any of the forms. There is no restriction or there is no bar against that. So it means if I have a professional user login ID, so I can upload any of the forms for any LLP. There is no restriction that I can upload only certain LLPs or LLPs for which I am going to sign as a professional. So there is no such restriction. So you can upload any form if you have a professional user business role. But the problem with the professional user business role is you for having a professional user business role, you have to get associated with ICAI or ICSI or CMA. You need to have a valid membership number. All that is there. So,
okay, so at this stage also there is a role check if we are doing it as a professional user.
Yes, ma'am. So now there comes a situation. So now we are saying one side, say my staff will not be able to upload any of the forms because they are only having a registered user role. And professional user role, if I want to get myself as a registered as a professional user role, I need to have a membership number. So my staff won't be having, suppose let us assume that they are not actually professionals, for example. So now there comes a situation where how I should enable my staff to file forms of LLPs or the companies on my MCA portal. And now let us talk about one more scenario of director or designated partner role, ma'am. So they also can file. So only the restriction we have in V3 system is, suppose, let's say, out of these 10 LLPs that we are talking about, let's say each LLP is having 2 designated partners. So if I want to get myself registered as a designated partner and on my portal, I will be selecting the director or designated partner role, which is there in V2 system also currently. So I will choose that option. So then it is a prerequisite to enter my DIN number, because you will not be getting registered as a designated partner without a DIN number. So you will be providing your DIN number. If you have a PAN number associated with that DIN number, you will be providing that PAN number also. So at the time of registration, so it is not actually the moment you have a DIN number, you can go and get yourself registered as a business user under category director or designated partner. It is not mandatory that you have to get associated with LLP or company, then only you can get yourself registered on business user, because many times, especially in the old scenarios, we used to get DIN allotment through DIR3 as a prerequisite, then only you go and get appointed as a director or designated partner. Now we are allotting DIN through incorporation also. Due to that reason, there are a number of DIN holders who are not actually associated with any of the company, but their DIN is there. They're holding their DIN number. So it means, so if you want to get yourself registered as a under director role or designated partner role, the prerequisite is you should have a DIN number. Then you can register on MCA portal. Now let us assume a scenario. I have a DIN number. Currently, today I'm not associated with any LLP. So, but I'm planning to get associated with one of the new LLP which is getting incorporated, say tomorrow. I'm not required to wait till tomorrow. I can directly go to MCA portal on V3. I can get myself registered as a designated partner by providing my DIN number. Now let us assume that tomorrow my LLP got incorporated. I've got associated with that LLP as a designated partner. So what actually happens is, so once that incorporation happens and once this association happens based on your Philip approval form, you will be able to now on the third day, if you want to file a form 3, so which is the next form, you will be the first form that most of the LLPs are required to file once your LLP is incorporated, right? So now if you want to file form 3 LLP, you means in my case, if designated partner wants to file LLP, form 3 LLP, he can directly click on that form 3 and you will get a drop down of LLPs, in which all LLPs you are associated with. So we will showcase that also. So basically what we are trying to say is, if you are registered as a business user under role director or designated partner role, you will be allowed to do the filing only for the LLPs or the companies in which you are associated. So this is one of the change that we have made. It means if my DIN is associated with 10 companies or 5 LLPs, I am allowed to do all filings which are relating to those 10 companies and 5 LLPs only. So now here again, one more deadlock situation. Suppose now we cannot expect every director to get them registered on MCA portal, and they will not have that much time to sit and file the forms. Now how to enable the filing in my system through a staff of company or staff of LLP or the staff of professional user. So therein, we have introduced this concept of company user or LLP user. So if you see the screenshot, whenever you want to get yourself registered as a company user or LLP user, you have to select the category as business user, and then you have to select the role as company or LLP. So Rena, can you please go down? So then you will be, it is a mandatory requirement to provide the PAN of the company or LLP here. So you are required to provide the PAN or PAN of the company or LLP, and then you have to click on next button. Please make sure to use the correct PAN or PAN of company or LLP here, because if you use your personal PAN number while registering under company or LLP user, and later on you want to get yourself registered under some other role, you will not be allowed, because we have that uniqueness check on PAN and email ID in the system. Suppose you already have one email ID with one role, so you cannot register with a different, by using the same PAN or the same email ID, again, with a different role, I think, which is there in the V2 system currently. So you have to provide the company PAN or LLP PAN here, and then you have to provide your SIN number or LLP number or FLLP number or FCRN, depending on the role. Suppose if you are getting registered as a LLP user, obviously you'll be entering your LLP number here. And based on that LLP number, your name will get pre-filled and date of incorporation also. So Raina, can you please go to the next screen? So here you can see next screen, Raina. So here date of incorporation, LLP number. So in the example, we have taken company SIN number. So that is why company name got pre-filled and along with the date of incorporation. So Raina, can we move to the next screen? So now here you have to provide the details of the person who is going to act as a company user or LLP user here. Suppose, let's say out of my 3 staff members, I want to assign one person who will work on this LLP. Suppose the person A, I have to provide that person details here. So here we have entered the telephone number and one more mandatory step. So once we enter the details of that person, mobile number and email ID of person A in my example, now the one of the mandatory step which is very important is details of the directors to be used for OTP validation. So now what it says is, whenever I want to create a LLP user or company user, I have to get an authentication from the directors who are associated with that particular LLP or company in this case. Otherwise, I can create any LLP user, right? So if I don't have the validation or if I don't have the control, if I don't authenticate this registration. So that is the reason why what we do is, I have entered some LLPIN in the above screen. So suppose, let's say that LLPIN is associated, the 2 designated partners are associated with that LLPIN. For example, the partner 1 and partner 2. So you will get to see those 2 partners' names as a drop down here. So these details, so basically you have to select one of the partner name from the drop down. So this drop down will come automatically based on your LLPIN that you have entered in the first or second screen. So then you have to choose one of the partner and then you have to click on the next button. So what actually happens is, then you have to choose this is a normal process. You have to give a password and confirm password, hint question and hint answer you have to provide. And then you have to click on create my account. So this is where actually what is happening is, if you have seen in the previous webinars, or the earlier webinar where we have showcased professional user user ID creation. So wherein we have said like they have to enter both email ID, email OTP and mobile OTP, which is and conditions. They have to enter both the OTPs. Now here you will get 4 OTPs. So one is basically the first set is relating to the person A. In my example, the person who is going to act as a company user or LLP user. So he will get email OTP and mobile OTP. So we have already taken his details on the screen above, right? So in the previous steps. So you will get the OTP for both email and mobile for that person A. And also the email OTP and mobile OTP will go to the person, the designated partner in my example. So we've selected partner 1 in the drop down, right? That person will get a OTP based on this. Basically, we will. So you may observe that we have not actually displayed the DIN number or his details, none of his details except name. System will automatically pick the DIN number from the database based on the drop down values, and it will also pick the mobile number and email ID, and it will send the OTPs to that person. So now it is the person's responsibility. Whoever is creating this user role, they have to contact the relevant partner or the director to have the OTPs, and you have to punch in those OTPs. So all these 4 OTPs are mandatory steps. I mean, you cannot register yourself without all these 4 OTPs. Yes,
so
ma'am.
how many users can be associated with one company or LLP?
Yeah. So good question, madam. So as of now, so only one person can get associated with one company or one LLP. So you will have only one user called as a company user or LLP user.
So similarly, we are getting lots of queries that professionals should also have similar kind of a thing, so that in the name of one professional, 2 or 3 systems can be used to file the forms or doing lots of other things. Because you are already aware that there are lots of trainees and all with the professionals.
Yes.
So if similar.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So as of now, professional user, so there is no restriction on the professional user, filing part, but only the requisite is that person who, suppose if I want to get myself registered as a professional user, I need to have a membership number, which is associated with any of these 3 institutes.
But His login can be used at only one system. No?
Yes,
he cannot delegate.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Currently, that is the restriction. So, to give that facility of allowing the filing of these forms, we have introduced this concept of LLP and company user, which is unique to each LLP and each company. Suppose if I'm handling 10, and it is also recommended to use create this company or LLP user in V3 system, because once you have the LLP or company user, now, so if your user ID becomes your SIN number or LLP number, you need not remember, you're not required to remember what is your user ID or email ID or what, nothing. I mean, you can directly log in by simply putting your SIN number or LLP number. That is one of the added advantage of creating user ID with role, company or LLP.
So as of now, there is no proposal for introducing such facility for professionals.
Yes, ma'am. Currently, there is no such facility, but you can definitely give it as a feedback, and then MCA will look into it.
No, but Deepaji, this is also not, all the other services, online services, you will see that multiple logins are generally not allowed. So I don't see this.
Like in companies and LLPs, the responsibility is on the directors for if somebody uses on their behalf. So professional can be made accountable or responsible if somebody is using their user IDs. Maybe 1 or 2 people can be authorized. We are getting lots of questions on this actually. Practical questions.
But as a best practices for login, we generally do not allow this feature. Yeah.
Okay.
So Reina, can you please go down? So with here in this, only this 4 OTPs concept will come into picture only for this role. So for company or LLP user. Reina, can you please go down to go to the next screen? So here you will get once your user ID user is created in the system, you will get a success message and along with the email ID mentioning that so and so username is already registered on your portal. So this is about the company or LLP user registration, madam. So in V3 system, so it is recommended to create the user ID for company or LLP user for each LLP or for each company, so that anybody, whoever is having the access to upload the forms, they will be able to upload all the LLP forms for such LLP. So now we have discussed about how to register, how to update my profile. If I'm having a registered user ID in V2 system, how do I upgrade myself to a registered user in V3, and how to create the company or LLP user. Now we'll see how to, suppose let's say we are saying that registered user will not be able to file all the forms. Is there any possibility to upgrade myself to a business user? So that scenario also we'll check once. So Reina?
Yes.
So here, ma'am, so we'll try to log in with the one of the registered user role now. So we are logging in with the email ID, means this person is already updated his profile or the user ID is registered in V3 system.
Is my screen visible?
Yeah, Reina.
Yes.
So we have logged in with the one of the registered user role. Now I want to upgrade myself to a business user. So now you will get a drop down here. So you can select business user, and here you will get a drop down. So drop down values you can see here, company or LLP user is not there. So it means the company or LLP user, you have to create a fresh in V3 system. You cannot upgrade your registered user role into a business user role other than these three options. So basically it means registered user can upgrade himself to director or designated partner role or manager secretary role or professional user role. So now let us select director or designated partner role, Rena. So the moment you select the role as here, it means I want to upgrade myself to a registered user, to a business user with the role as director or designated partner. As I explained, so whenever we select role director or designated partner, a DIN is a mandatory field, right? So then you have to enter the DIN number, and then you go down, Rena. So if that DIN is associated with the PAN also, you can enter the PAN number, and then you can submit the request. And if you click on save request, then your business role will get upgraded. This is how you can upgrade yourself to business user role if you already have a registered user ID in V2 system. And same is the case with professional. So if you select professional user as a user role under business user category, so you have to, so whenever you select professional users, so obviously you have to enter the institute name and the membership number, PAN number and membership number. So you have to enter all the requisite details, and system will automatically validate. So whether PAN is at PAN with PAN data, CBDT database, and your membership number with the relevant institute's database. And then once everything gets validated, you will get a success message, which means that, so going forward, you can act as a business user, even though initially in V2 system, you've actually registered as a registered user category. So now we have seen all the scenarios which are actually applicable for LLPs, like designated partner role or LLP user role and registered user role, how to change my user ID from user ID to email ID, all that scenarios we have seen. So now why we have these different scenarios, how actually it works in the system, we'll see once.
So I have certain questions.
Yeah,
you want me to take it at the end, or you want to show? I think you want to show something.
No, ma'am. We can take up the questions and then we'll move on.
Okay. So can we do editing even after submitting and generating of SRN, but before uploading with DSC?
Yes, ma'am. So in the application dashboard or the application history, so till the time you upload the form, that is a fixed version of a PDF, so you can go and edit the form. So so basically you will have that option. So basically it is one more option is system will automatically show you as in which all scenarios you will have edit option, in which all scenarios this resubmission is allowed. Say for example, you have started filling up a form, say form 3 LLP, and you filled in first 2 pages of the form, and you don't want to proceed further. So you can click on save button, and once you click on that save button, this data will get reflected on your application history, and also it will also have a status field. Status will be showing as draft or pending for submission, and immediately to that next tab, so you will have an edit option. So wherever edit option is available, you will get to see that edit option on the dashboard itself.
Okay. In case of linked form, if we skip one form, can we file it at a later date?
No, ma'am. So this is also one of the important points. So with respect to the linked forms, so the way it happens in V2 system and the V3 system. So in V2 system, how it actually happens is you have to identify which all linked forms are applicable, especially in case of Spice Plus for companies. There are a lot of linked forms. You have to know, you have to go through a lot of documentation, which linked form is applicable to me or what is the sequence and all. But in case of V3 system, which is web-based filing, suppose let's take an example of Philip form. Suppose let's say I'm filing for conversion of company into LLP. So then we all know that as per the existing system also, form 18 will come up as a mandatory linked form. And in V3 system, the same process would be there. Along with that, as we mentioned earlier, we have also introduced a new web form called Form 9 LLP, which is for the consent of designated partners who are having a DPIN number with them. So in this case, in my example, if I'm trying to file a form for conversion from company into LLP, so and I'm trying to file this form with 2 designated partners having a DIN number, for example. So then in that case, it becomes two linked forms are applicable for me. That is Form 9 and then Form 18 LLP. So what actually happens is once you fill in the Philip form and once you click on submit button that is on web page, so system will automatically recognize based on the fields that you've selected. Suppose if you are filing for conversion, so you'll be selecting your type of incorporation as conversion of company into LLP, right? Based on that field, and also if you have a DIN number and you are getting appointed as a designated partner, so you'll be putting your number of DINs or the DIN details in the Philip form. So based on that fields that are there in the system will automatically identify which all linked forms are applicable to you. So in this case, the moment once you click on submit button, once you fill in all the details of Philip and click on submit button, system will ask you to proceed to file the next linked form automatically. So in my example, system will ask us to proceed to file Form 9 LLP. 9 or 18, whatever is the sequence that is defined in the system. System will automatically ask you to proceed for Form 9. Suppose let's say sequence is like this, Form 9 and followed by Form 18. Once you fill in the entire Form 9 is basically there is no need to fill in anything because again, this is one of the enhancements that we have made.
Pre-filled.
Everything gets pre-filled. So if you have seen the Spice Plus Part B and INC9, so the same functionality. So if you have a DPIN number and you have provided your DPIN number in Philip form, everything gets pre-filled in Form 9. There is no need to enter anything in the Form 9. And you just have to click on submit button once everything gets pre-filled. And then system will automatically make you to proceed to file Form 18 LLP. So you're not actually required to go through a lot of documentations, instruction kits and all. System will automatically recognize which all linked forms are applicable to you. And it will also, it will automatically mandates you to go to that step. So once Form 18 gets submitted, that is when system will generate a SRN, because as per the logic, once I upload all the relevant linked forms, then only I have to system has to generate an SRN, right? So that is why we will not generate the SRN at the time of Philip form itself. So once all the linked forms are submitted successfully, only that is when we will generate the SRN number. This is the functionality.
Correct. So whether pay later option is available in the new version?
Yes, ma'am. So yesterday, I think in the previous webinar also we've clarified. So basically, if you look at the payment screens that we've showcased in the previous,
there are various options.
We have offline and online. So user can select offline mode as a payment mode, and he can choose to make the payment through pay later option. Yes.
Can we have an option to make multiple SRN payment to save the time for making payment of each SRN separately?
Ma'am, currently this payment, it is linked with each SRN individually. We do not have the functionality of making, because we have to generate the challan for each such specific SRN, right? So only when forms are getting filed as a linked forms, that is when you will have a single payment challan, and you have to make the payment based on each SRN specific only.
Okay. So for how many days the draft application will be valid? If we have filled in the information in the form and saved it, and if we come back after 15 days, will it still be there?
Yeah, ma'am. So the time limit, as I think you correctly mentioned, the form will be available. The draft version of form or submitted form is available for a period of 15 days. So suppose, let's say you've actually filled in first 2 pages and you've kept that form under draft mode only. So that form would be available for you to go and fill in. So by using that edit option on application dashboard for a period of 15 days. And also, suppose, let's say you've submitted the form and you're yet to upload the PDF after fixing the DSCs. For that also, there's a prescribed time limit given. So I think it is again a 15 days time. So if you do not take any action within the period, whatever, whether it is 15 days or 20 days, so this SRN will get marked as cancelled or expired. So you may have to do a fresh filing in that case.
Okay. In spite of affixing of all the digital signatures in the form, sometimes we are getting error that need to attach mandatory DSC. Then what to do in that case? I hope it will not be there.
I think it is a technical issue, ma'am. So they have to, I think,
specifically raise the...
Yes.
Do we still need to check pre-scrutiny the form after affixing the DSC?
So ma'am, actually, as such, there is no option called pre-scrutiny that you get to see on the
Because it is real
form.
time, I think.
So basically, the moment you try to upload the form, so basically, this is also one of the enhancements that you have seen. We have reduced the tabs, and you will not get to see a pre-fill button on any of the forms. So basically, suppose let's say you are filing a Philip form and you've reserved your name through Run LLP. So if you look at the current V2 form, you have to enter a SRN number of Run, and you have to mandatorily click on pre-fill button. So there's a button given on the PDF version of form in V2. You have to click on that pre-fill button, and then only your name and all other details would get pre-filled. But in V3 system, what actually happens is, once you enter the Run LLP SRN on Philip form, once you do a tab out or once you press enter, name and all the details would get pre-filled automatically. There is no need to click on pre-fill button.
Okay. Next question is, in the V3 version itself, in case of a resubmission of forms, does the user can edit the filled form, or do they have to fill up the fresh form?
So ma'am, this is also one of the, so currently if I talk about from V2 point of view, whenever form gets marked under RSUB, so they have to download a fresh form. Even though suppose, let's say that form has 100 and plus fields, and only I'm supposed to edit one of the field, I still have to fill in the entire form just for one field. So which will take a lot of time, and there are a lot of efforts are getting wasted here. So this is also one of the best enhancements that we have made in V3 system. So what actually happens is, once the form is marked under RSUB, resubmission by the back office user. So you, as per the normal process, you will get an email notification followed by SMS. So what actually happens is, on the application dashboard or application history, so you will get that SRN, and you will see a status called resubmission required. So wherever you see a resubmission required, you will have an edit option next to that tab. And once you click on that edit tab, so you will get to see the entire form which was submitted in the original version. Suppose let's say you initially submitted a form with certain set of details, all such details would get pre-filled and made available to you for edit. So which means that if you want to update only one or two fields out of 100 and plus fields which are there in a form, you can save a lot of time just by updating the relevant fields only. This is also one of the best feature that we are planning to, you will get to see in V3 system. I think that this will save a lot of time of stakeholders.
Okay. One suggestion is with regard to e-form LLP 8 form. I think there is a pointer which is wrongly mentioned there. One suggestion is that in e-form LLP 8 for registration of charge, in tab of last modified date, the date of creation of charge is auto-filled instead of last modification of charge date. So if it is possible, then it is requested to update the auto-filled box to last modification charge date.
So ma'am, that we will look into it, ma'am, definitely. So we'll just see what is the revised layout of V3. So if hopefully that should have been taken care. If not, we'll check with the MCA, because that requires a re-notification and all, but we will definitely look into it, ma'am.
Yes. How to edit the details if directors or staff is getting changed while creating company or business user?
Sorry, ma'am, can you please come again?
How to edit the details if directors or staff is getting changed while creating company or business user?
So ma'am, what actually happens is, whenever whenever user get registered as a company user or LLP user or other business users like manager, secretary, authorized representative, suppose if the person is moved out of the organization, or you want to suspend or you want to cancel the association, so there are a lot of user registration profile updates where you have a lot of options. So wherein you can suspend the user, or you can add a new role, or you can add a new person with the role called company user or LLP user. So all such functionalities are available. I think once we go live, I think they will get to experience all such functionalities, madam. Definitely these options are available on user registration module.
Okay. So do you want to demo something else, or I should continue?
Yeah, ma'am, you please continue, ma'am. I think more or less, actually, we want to showcase the Philip form only. I think more or less we have covered all the points with respect to the changes and all. So we can continue with the questions.
Can an individual be converted to business user?
Yes, ma'am. I think we have already discussed, and we have even showcased how to convert individual, I mean to say registered user, definitely they can convert themselves into business user, but they have to have the
identification number is required.
Required set of details. Yes, depending on your business user role, you need to have the minimum required details for such upgradation.
Okay. Can a professional who is not in full-time practice file forms for various companies by using professional user registration?
So currently, I don't think we are checking the profession, whether the professional is actually a practicing professional or not. Definitely,
I think that is not possible. Yeah, that has to be role checked from the institute side.
Yes, ma'am.
Whether all the forms filed with the existing login ID will appear in new login ID?
Yes, ma'am. So whatever the forms, because that is the whole purpose of actually giving all these options to change their updating their profile and moving their role from one user to another role. So whatever the forms that are filed with, suppose let's say I've used user ID 123 in V2 system, so going forward it will become my email ID. So but whatever the forms that I filed in V2 system or the existing system before such update or role change, so you will get to see all such filings under the revised role or revised user ID.
Sir, आप कुछ questions लेना चाहेंगे आशीष sir?
There are 2-3 things which I just want to raise on behalf of the members, which I have received. I am not aware whether those were answered in the last webinar or not. One is regarding the user, because I have created one user as a professional and my 5 staff is working on that user. So is it possible to do to use that user for 5 people? Otherwise, only one form will be filed from one user at one time.
So, sir, currently it is not allowed. So, for that purpose only, we have introduced a concept called Llp User, so which is unique to such LLP. So, it is recommended to create a user ID for each such LLP or each such company, so that that form, I mean, all forms which are relating to that LLP can be filed by the person who is, I mean, authorized to do so. Suppose there are 5 members.
I appreciate that concern, but for a professional or for a practicing professional, it is not possible, because otherwise we have to monitor each and every form of all the while making the user of all the LLPs separately, or we have to check it, then again we have to do it. Now what is happening in present scenario, suppose if my user ID has been used by my all office people, or I am using, so I can check it all the forms in my user ID itself. It will be very difficult for the practicing professional to create separate user ID for each LLP. I think that some solution should be there for the professionals. Otherwise, it will become very difficult, because we'll miss one thing or another thing, or any resubmission, if that mail or if that thing will go to the concerned thing.
So, Vivek sir, are you there on the call? So, I think.
Yeah, I would like to take up this reply. Sir, good evening. So just wanted to tell you that maybe the apprehension is coming from this aspect that the system being slow and you are not able to perform up to the level. So that is why the professionals are seeking that there should be multiple login IDs should be available. But sir, as we go ahead in web form filing, nothing of this sort kind of a problem is going to come over here. And more so, system is the forms are like this way that a person need not have to spend an entire day for filing a particular form or something like that. So that way we have built in the system. So let's start experiencing this V3 module, sir. And in case there is some roadblocks which come over, we may take it up further, sir. But as of now, we have to continue with the current system.
Okay, sure. Because that is the concern raised by so many professionals. So that is also a good thing. Once we'll go ahead, what will happen, we'll see, and accordingly that modification can be done.
Sir, just a small suggestion that let us go ahead and maybe the apprehensions is coming from the background that what was happening in V2 or V1. So let's keep our finger crossed that this things doesn't occur in V3 system. That is why the technology change and this entire big system has been created, sir. So let's go ahead, and if the roadblocks continues, then obviously MCA officials we can take up this matter with them, and let's see, sir. Sir, as of now, we would request that kindly put in your effort and energies for appreciating the system and using it up to the maximum, and then we can take up those concerns if at all it happens.
Sure. One more issue which related to V3 or can be sorted out. It is members, particularly company secretaries in employment, are facing that, particularly a female, because suppose a surname has changed, they have get it changed, their PAN card and passport and everything, but their DSC is registered or their appointment has been done with the old name, because now there is no concept of DIR6 for the company secretaries. So how to get it changed? That is the problem I think so many members have raised to me. Is there any solution to that, or it can be changed in the new version of V3?
So, sir, your point is valid. So currently also we are facing, we keep on getting a lot of tickets, especially with this scenario. So we end up updating these details. Currently in V3 system also, we do not have any functionality to update these details. Definitely we will make a note of it and we'll see, because currently there is no prescribed form to make these changes, because generally appointment happens to DIR 12. So there is no option to change the details of the company secretary who is in employment. So we will make a note of it and we'll update you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, because this is the issue, because members have appointed few years back and now they are getting changed. So it's an issue which you can take up. Thank you so much. Deepa, you may please continue.
Thank you, sir. Next question is UPI or QR scan code option is available for the payment?
Yes, ma'am. UPI, I think yesterday, we have showcased that UPI is available. Yes, ma'am, is available.
Another one is after automatically log out, it takes more than 3 to 4 hours in some cases to log in again. It says already log in. In such case, how this problem can be solved? Maybe so it is in V2 version.
It is again technical issues.
Yeah. Okay. For how many companies or LLPs a person who is neither professional nor director can act as user?
If the company uses only one person, so one company or one LLP will have only one user as a company user, ma'am. You cannot have multiple persons acting as a company user or LLP user.
Okay.
However, they can be logged in as a manager, secretary, or authorized representative, like getting an authorization from the company or LLP or the designated partners to for authorization to do the filings. So there also the user role can be created.
Okay. How we will register DSC of a secretary of a trust?
DSC of a secretary of a trust. So currently we do not have any category called trust as such in the associate DSC option, ma'am. So they can register themselves under authorized representative category, and this is what is happening in V2 system also. Okay. If the person is not actually coming under any of the roles like director or designated partner or professional, we will ask them to, yes.
Okay. Professionals are asking that is it possible to show us how to migrate to business user?
So, ma'am, actually, we have already shared the screens. I think soon, once we go live on 6th March, we will have all these help kits and user manuals along with screenshots and all. I think we have already showcased the process.
Yeah. So I think Deepa ji, if they go through the video of this webinar, they will be able to see. Yes. Vijay had already shown that.
Okay. That is already available at the YouTube channel of ICSI. Okay. What if the proposed DP designated partner won't have DIN? Can through PAN details Form 9 will be generated?
So currently, ma'am, so as we mentioned, so Form 9 is getting generated only if the designated partner or the nominee of body corporate designated partner is having DIN. Only in such case, your Form 9 will get generated. So PAN, so I think maybe they are comparing with the INC 9 of SPICE form. So wherein we have added this PAN functionality also. But currently for LLP form, this gets generated only if you have a DPIN number at the time of incorporation, ma'am.
Okay.
And for the designated partners, they can attach Form 9 as an attachment. The people who are not partners who do not have DPIN.
Yes.
I think the questions are now duplicate. So I think we can close now. The size of the documents, you have already clarified 10.
Yeah, so size is, ma'am, so from 6 MB, we have increased it to 10 MB. And right now there is no limit on the attachments also. Now each attachment also we have restricted that each attachment should be of maximum 2 MB. So this 10 MB is basically including all the e-form size, attachment size, and DSC. So all this put together, we have increased the limit to 10 MB.
And whether the registrar would have any power to call for information from LLP. I think this is a policy issue. Nothing to do with V3 version.
Yes, ma'am.
So anything else you want to say?
Actually, we have actually covered almost all the points.
Any expectation from professionals, from the corporates you want to convey? MCA wants to convey? Vivek, sir?
So let me just state that, throughout the entire development of B3, we have had, extensive consultation, as I had already mentioned. And I hope, once we have launched the LLP module, there might be some teething issues. So, I expect that, whatever bugs are there, the ICSI community will be able to, identify and give us the suggestions. And we'll be more than happy to, get them corrected as soon as possible. So we need your cooperation, for successful launch of this LLP module. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I assure you on behalf of all the professionals to take care of all these aspects. And they will surely send through us or maybe directly various suggestions or whatever they face any issues and so. So with this, I would like to conclude this webinar series on LLP V3 module. We are thankful to Ministry of Corporate Affairs for giving the responsibility to the Institute for organizing this webinar series, the objective of which is to familiarize the professionals and stakeholders of this new way of filing LLP modules. It is indeed a pleasure in sharing that all the 3 webinars are successfully attended by approximately 5,000 plus participants and lots of queries. So on behalf of the entire ICSI Council, I would like to thank the entire team of Ministry who has taken this initiative of revamping the MCA version from VG to V3. I would like to extend appreciation to LTI team who is doing its best to make this initiative happen. I would like to thank all the participants for actively participating in this webinar series and raising lots of queries, which I hope that all are successfully addressed. So once again, thanks to all of you. Thank you so much.